Shri Rajalakshmi Prakashan published. A textbook on fundamentals of agronomy 1. Authors: Dr. D. N. Jagtap, Dr. P. B. Pawar, Dr. U. V. Mahadkar. Chapter 11. Plant Ideotypes. Meaning. The concept of ideotype in plant breeding was introduced by Donald in 1968 working on wheat to describe the idealized appearance of a plant variety. It literally means a form denoting an idea, or, according to Donald, ideotype is a biological model which is expected to perform or behave in a particular manner within a defined environment. Or, a crop ideotype is a plant model which is expected to yield a greater quantity or quality of grain, oil or other useful product when developed as a cultivar. Donald and Hamblin, 1976, proposed the concepts of isolation, competition and crop ideotypes. Market ideotype, climatic ideotype, edaphic ideotype, stress ideotype and disease pest ideotypes are its other concepts. In broad sense, an ideotype model, which is expected to perform or behave in a predictable manner within a defined environment. More specifically, crop ideotype is a plant model which is expected to yield greater quantity of grains, fiber, oil or other useful product when developed as a cultivar. The main points about ideotype are given below. Crop ideotype refers to model plants or ideal plant type for a specific environment. Ideotype differs from ideotype. The former refers to a combination of various plant characters which enhance the yield of economic produce, whereas the latter refers to the morphological features of the chromosomes of a particular plant species. Donald included only morphological characters to define an ideotype of wheat. Subsequently, physiological and biochemical traits were also included for broadening the concept of crop ideotype. Ideal plants or model plants are expected to give higher yield than old cultivars in a defined environment. Ideotype is a moving goal which changes according to climatic situation, type of cultivation, national policy, market requirement, etc. In other words, ideotype have to be redesigned depending upon above factors. Thus, development of crop ideotype is a continuous process. Ideal plant type or model plant type also varies from species. Moreover, this is a difficult and slow method of cultivar development because various morphological, physiological and biochemical characters have to be combined a single genotype from different sources. Features of crop ideotype. The crop ideotype consists of several morphological and physiological traits which contribute for enhanced yield or higher yield than currently prevalent crop cultivars. The morphological and physiological features of crop ideotype is required for irrigated cultivation or rain-fed cultivation. Ideal plant whether the ideotype is required for irrigated cultivation or rain-fed cultivation. Ideal plant types or model plants have been discussed in several crops like wheat, rice, maize, barley, cotton, and bean. The important features of ideotype for some crops are briefly described below. Wheat. The term ideotype was coined by Donald in 1968 working on wheat. He proposed ideotype of wheat with following main features: a short, strong stem. It imparts lodging resistance and reduces the losses due to lodging. Erect leaves. Such leaves provide better arrangement for proper light distribution resulting in high photosynthesis or CO2 fixation. Few small leaves. Leaves are the important sites of photosynthesis, respiration and transpiration. Few and small leaves reduce water loss due to transpiration. Larger ear. It will produce more grains per year. A presence of ons contribute towards photosynthesis. A single culm. Thus, Donald included only morphological traits in the ideotype. However, all the traits are based on physiological consideration. Finally, 1968, doubted the utility of single clump in wheat ideotype. Considered tillering as important features of wheat flag type. A wheat plant with moderately short but broad flag leaf, long flag leaf sheath, short ear extrusion with long ear, and moderately high tillering capacity should give yield per plant. Hasu and Watson, 1917. Asana proposed wheat ideotype for rainfed cultivation. Recent workers included both morphological and physiological characters in wheat ideotype. Rice. The concept of plant type was introduced in rice breeding by Jennings in 1964, though the term ideotype was coined by Donald in 1968. He suggested that the rice an ideal or model plant type consists of: Number 1. Semi-dwarf stature. Number 2. High tillering capacity, and Number 3. Short, erect, thick and highly angled leaves. Jennings, 1964, Beechell and Jennings, 1965. Jennings also included morphological traits in his model. Now emphasis is also given to physiological traits in the development of rice ideotype. Madge. In 1975, Mock and Pierce proposed ideal plant type of Madge. In Madge, higher yields were obtained from the plants consisting of: Number 1. Low tillers, Number 2. Large cobs, and Number 3. Angled leaves for good light interception. Planting of such type at closer spacings resulted in higher yields. Barley. Rasmusso, 1987, reviewed the work on ideotype breeding and also suggested ideal plant type of 6-road barley. He proposed that in barley, higher yield can be obtained from a combination of: Number 1. Short stature, Number 2. Long awns, Number 3. High harvest index, and Number 4. High biomass. Kernel weight and kernel number were found rewarding in increasing yield. Cotton. In cotton, genotypes with zero branch, short stature, compact plant, small leaves and fewer symphodia were considered to enhance yield levels. Singh et al., 1974, proposed an ideal plant type of a planned cotton growing belt. The proposed ideotype includes: short stature, 90 to 120 centimeters. Compact and sympodial plant habit making pyramidal shape. Determinate the fruiting habit with unimodal distribution of bowling. Short duration, 150 to 165 days. Responsive to high fertilizer dose. High degree of interplant competitive ability. High degree of resistance to insect pests and diseases, and high physiological efficiency. Singh and Narayana, 1993, proposed an ideotype of above 2 species for rain-fed conditions. The main features of proposed ideotype include: earliness, 150 to 165 days, fewer small and thick leaves, compact and short stature, interminate habit, sparse hairness, medium to big bowl size, synchronous bowling, high response to nutrients, and resistance to insect and diseases. Sorghum and pearl millet. Improvement in plant type has been achieved in sorghum and pearl millet through the use of dwarfing genes. In these crop dwarf F1 hybrids have been developed which have made combine harvesting possible. Genetic improvements have been achieved through modification of plant type in several crop species. New ideotype have been proposed for majority of crop plants. Swaminathan, 1972, has listed several desirable attributes of crop ideotype with special reference to multiple cropping in the tropics and subtropics. These features include: superior population performance, high productivity per day, high photosynthetic ability, low photorespiration, photo and thermosensitivity, high response to nutrients, high productivity per unit of water, multiple resistances to insect and diseases, better protein quantity and quality, Crop canopies that can retain and fix a maximum of CO2. Suitability to mechanization. Factors affecting ideotype. There are several factors which affect development of ideal plant type. Ideotype differs based on crop species, cultivation practices and socio-economic condition of farmers and economic use of plant parts. These are briefly discussed below. Crop species. Ideotype differs from crop to crop. The ideotype of monocots significantly differs from those of dicots. In monocots, tillering is more important, whereas in dicots branching is one of the important features of ideotype. Cultivation. The ideotype also differs with regards to crop cultivation. The features of irrigated crop differ from that of rain-fed crop. The rain-fed crop needs drought resistance, fewer and smaller leaves to reduce water loss through transpiration. In dicots, interminate types are required for rain-fed condition because interminate type can produce another flush of flowers in the first flush is affected by drought conditions. Socioeconomic condition of farmers. Socioeconomic condition of farmers also determines crop ideotype. For example, dwarf sorghum is ideal for mechanical harvesting in USA, but it is not suitable for the farmers of Africa where the stalks are used for fuel or hut construction. Economic use. The ideotype also differs according to the economic use of the crop. For example, dwarf types are useful in sorghum and pearl millet when the crop is grown for grain purpose. But when these crops are grown for fodder purpose, tall stature is desirable one. Moreover, less leafy types are desirable for grain purpose and more leafy genotypes for fodder purpose. The larger leaves are also desirable in case of fodder crop. Merits of ideotype. Ideotype breeding is an effective method of enhancing yield through manipulation of various morphological and physiological crop characters. Thus, it exploits both morphological and physiological variation. In this method of various morphological and physiological traits are specified and each character or trait contributes towards enhanced yield. Ideotype breeding involves experts from the discipline of plant breeding, physiology, biochemistry, entomology, and plant pathology. Each specialist contributes in the development of model plants for traits related to his field. Ideotype breeding is an effective method of breaking yield barriers through the use of genetically controlled physiological variation for various characters contributing towards higher yield. Ideotype breeding provides solution to several problems at a time like disease, insect and lodging resistance, maturity duration, yield and quality by combining desirable genes for these traits from different sources into a single genotype. It is efficient method of developing cultivars for specific or environment. Demerits of ideotype. Incorporation of several desirable morphological and physiological and disease resistance traits from different sources into a single genotype is a difficult task. Sometimes, combining of some characters is not possible due to tight linkage between desirable and undesirable characters. Presence of such linkage hinders the progress of ideotype breeding. Ideotype breeding is a slow method of cultivar development because combining together of various morphological and physiological features from different sources takes more time than traditional breeding where improvement is made in yield and one or two other characters. Ideotype breeding is not a substitute for traditional or conventional breeding. It is a supplement to the former. Ideotype is a moving object which changes with change in knowledge, new requirements, national policy, etc. Thus, new ideotype have to evolve to meet the changing and increasing demands of economic products. Differences between traditional and ideotype breeding. Traditional breeding. Number 1. The main objective is defined before initiating the breeding work. Ideotype breeding. Number 1. The conceptual model is prepared before initiation of breeding work. Traditional breeding. Number 2. Selection is focused on yield and some other character. Ideotype breeding. Number 2. Selection is focused on individual plant characters. Traditional breeding. Number 3. It usually includes various morphological and economic characters. Ideotype breeding. Number 3. It includes various morphological, physiological, and biochemical plant characters. Traditional breeding. Number 4. Value of each character is not fixed in advance. Ideotype breeding. Number 4. Value of each trait is defined in advance. Traditional breeding. Number 5. This is simple and rapid method of cultivar development. Ideotype breeding. Number 5. This is difficult and slow method of cultivar development. Traditional breeding. Number 6. The phenotype of a new variety is not specified in advance. Ideotype breeding. Number 6. Phenotype of new variety to be developed is specified in advance.
We politely request, please like, share and subscribe our channel Sri Raj Lakshmi Publication.